Hey everyone, I hope you're having a good Thursday. So today I want to talk about the front rack position. Think of the front rack position as having a barbell sitting on the front side of your shoulders, and you're here. What a lot of coaches, trainers will talk about, especially if someone is struggling with the front rack position, is get your elbows up or a little bit of rotation, and that sits the barbell on the shoulder better. But the front rack position has a lot of different parts to it. So I wanted to break that down today just to give more insight into that. And if you notice someone is struggling with that position, these are different things you can look at to see what area they might be struggling with and then what you would want to do potentially to address that issue. So the first one is shoulder flexion. So shoulder flexion, if you took both arms and you just go straight up, you want to see the arms get relatively straight overhead without extending through the lower back. The next one is elbow flexion. So elbow flexion, bringing your elbows or your hands to your shoulders, but I wouldn't look at it this way. I would go here. How far can they bring their hand to their shoulder? Because this is going to mimic that position better for the front rack. The next one is shoulder external rotation. So external rotation can be looked at a couple different angles. So you think of people look at it here, here. The best one I think for the front rack position is just looking straight on and how far can they rotate, because that's going to set them up when you rotate and down. That's going to really show how they're sitting in that front rack position. The next one is pronation. This one is probably the most overlooked one. So this is part of the elbow and the wrist, so rotation at the forearm. So how to look at this, I like to have the person put their elbow glued to their side, and pronation is just going to be putting your your palm toward the ground. Nice and slow. How far can they go? You almost want to see their palm get flush with the ground. And then supination is just the other way, but really we're looking at pronation because when you're in that position, you are pronated, and where if people lack pronation to get this, and they're here, that can put some undue stress at the wrist, the thumb, medial elbow, even closer up into the shoulder. The next one is wrist extension. So from there, I want to see, so if this is where they're at neutral, how far can they extend, but also how much extension do they have in that position? So always measure it at, or observe it and see how the quality of the movement is in that position. If you're just looking at it here and doing this, it's not the same. Same with your elbow flexion. If you're here, okay, I have good elbow flexion, but what is it like when I'm here? Because there's different length tension relationships of muscles at different angles and different movements, so you really want to assess it in that position as best you can. And the last one is thoracic extension. So if someone is flexed or kyphotic in that mid-back, which is your thoracic spine, they will have some overhead mobility deficits most likely. So you want to see someone set up in a good foundational trunk extended position, not overextended, but in a good position, because that's really going to set up the shoulders to be in a good position here when they go for the front rack. So you have 6 different points to kind of look at and break down the front rack position. It's not just about getting your elbows up. You got to think of the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. What's their overhead mobility? Do they have a thoracic extension issue where they're going to overextend through the lower back and now they're getting some lower back pain? So there's a lot of different parts to look at. Over the next few days, I'm going to be breaking some of these down and giving you some ideas to address if someone has maybe a mobility issue in any of these areas. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.